Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right in. Have you ever known someone, or hey, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, have you ever actually been someone who just constantly talks about their massive dreams? Think about that serial entrepreneur friend we all seem to have. You know the one. They have a revolutionary new app idea every 6 months, they buy all the domain names, they design a slick logo, they talk endlessly about the millions they're going to make, and then crickets. Or think about your own New Year's resolutions. We imagine success with crystal clarity. We absolutely believe we can achieve it, but somehow, months and years go by and literally nothing changes in reality. Let's dive into this because it's a totally fascinating phenomenon.
So why do big dreamers do nothing? It's a universal frustration, isn't it? Watching someone with so much obvious potential just spin their tires. And if you're feeling hopelessly stuck yourself right now, I really want you to know you aren't broken. Your brain is actually just doing its job a little too well. In this explainer, we're going to diagnose the exact psychological reasons why we get so stuck in the planning phase. We'll break down the neurology and those deeply ingrained mental habits keeping us paralyzed, so we can finally figure out how to break free. Take a look at the myth on the left versus the reality on the right. We usually default to this myth that doing nothing is just a moral failing, right? When someone doesn't execute on their big plans, we just write it off as laziness or a fundamental lack of ambition. But the reality? Psychology reveals a super sophisticated web of complex psychological traps that are actively working against us. It's almost never a lack of drive. In fact, highly ambitious people fall into these traps precisely because they care so much. We get caught in these hidden behavioral loops without even realizing the whole shebang is happening.
All right, let's look at trap number 1, your brain's fake progress, or confusing thinking with doing.
This is where our own neurology actually starts playing massive tricks on our ambition, making us feel like we're moving forward when we are literally standing completely still. The crucial point here is a cognitive dissonance called fake progress. Basically, when you intensely imagine your success, your brain gets, well, a little confused. It experiences a premature sense of achievement. Just by constantly talking about or planning your goals, your brain literally releases dopamine, almost exactly as if you had already put in the hard work. And here's the massive danger in that. That chemical release dramatically reduces your urgency to take actual physical action. You've already tasted the reward just by thinking about it, which utterly destroys your drive to do the difficult, unglamorous work.
Moving right along to our second trap, the perfection illusion, where we hide fear under the mask of motivation.
Here, a deep fear of failure puts on a really convincing, highly productive-looking disguise. Big dreamers absolutely do not lack ambition. The ambition is very much present. What they actually fear is what happens if they try and fail. Think about the person who spends 6 straight months designing the absolute perfect logo and color palette for a business they haven't even registered yet. Instead of risking their current self-image by launching and facing rejection, they just retreat into the ultimate safety of the planning phase. Because, as long as they just plan, they don't have to risk anything. As long as they don't actually step into the arena and launch, they can't possibly fail. Their dream gets to remain perfectly intact, completely flawless, because it has never once been tested by harsh reality.
Which leads us directly to this quote, and honestly, a totally paralyzing myth. Readiness often comes after action, not before. This is trap number 3. How many times have you told yourself you'll start when things calm down at work, or when you have a little more money saved, or when the kids are older? So many of us believe we absolutely must wait for the perfect moment, or that we need to feel 100% fully ready before we can start. But psychology shows us the exact opposite. If you keep waiting for the perfect time, you're going to be waiting forever, because that time never naturally arrives. Action is the spark that creates readiness, not the other way around. You literally have to build the parachute on the way down.
Okay, section 3. Addicted to potential, exhaustion, and identity. We're shifting focus now to the exhausting inner workings of the mind and exploring how our deeply held sense of self can actively sabotage our biggest goals. It starts with this overthinking drain. It's a breathless cycle where you deeply analyze every single step. Then you try to anticipate every possible outcome. You start worrying. What will my friends think? What happens if the economy crashes? What if I choose the wrong software? What if someone steals my idea? What if the marketing fails? Your brain is running a marathon while your body is sitting entirely still. This constant looping analysis completely drains all of your mental energy. By the time you need to actually get up and act, you are already completely burned out. You feel entirely too exhausted to actually start. You've literally tired yourself out before even crossing the starting line.
Then we hit the barrier of identity, which might just be the most powerful trap of all. Your brain actively resists actions that don't match how you secretly see yourself. This concept is massive. If you secretly harbor a belief like, I'm not a disciplined person, or I'm someone who never finishes things, your brain will aggressively fight your attempts to take action. Why? Because taking action requires you to fundamentally become someone different. Your brain craves consistency with your self-image above almost everything else. It will actively sabotage your big dreams, pushing you back into inaction just to keep you perfectly aligned with those secret, internalized doubts.
And that brings us to our final trap, getting addicted to the feeling of your own potential. Look at the difference here. Talking about big dreams is absolutely intoxicating. It's exciting, it's full of endless possibility, it creates a powerful sense of identity, and frankly, it feels incredibly good to your ego to be known as the visionary. But contrast that with real progress. Real progress is highly repetitive. It's agonizingly slow. It is often boring, isolating, and extremely uncomfortable. So instead of doing the hard, boring work, dreamers stay attached to the idea of who they could be. Living in the fantasy of your massive potential feels infinitely better in the short term than facing the hard, tedious, unglamorous reality of doing the work right now.
Finally, Section 4, Breaking the Cycle, the cure for the big dreamer.
It's time to step out of the psychology lab and look at the actionable solution. Having big dreams is not rare. Almost everyone has them, but turning them into reality? That is incredibly rare. As you can see, the difference isn't talent. It's not about being a genius or getting lucky. It's the simple ability to act even when your mind is actively working against you. That is what you absolutely must take away from this explainer today. Success is not about having a perfectly supportive brain that always wants to work hard. It's the conscious behavioral choice to recognize these exact mental traps, the fake progress, the perfection illusion, the overthinking drain, and actively push through them to act anyway. So, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Are you ready to stop planning and start doing the uncomfortable work today? The perfect moment isn't coming. That magical feeling of readiness, it's not coming until after you take that first step. Don't let the comfort of your endless potential rob you of your actual lived reality. It's time to trade the dopamine hit of the dream for the quiet satisfaction of the effort. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Now, get off the sidelines, break the cycle, and go take some real action.